Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have something interesting for you guys today. It's a community cast submitted by Artemis, who's playing on the Blue 4 team with the Major Hun, friend of the channel, and Finn Stoge. And this is something I hope I can show you that's a little bit new. I have not yet seen this replay, but a 3v3 on Nuclear Winter is coming is, well, less than usual. So we'll see. It's going to be some high density gameplay for a map that usually is very low density gameplay in the 1v1. Double MiG-23 ML, not my favorite plane. I think it's just the 3 HE power missiles are a little underwhelming, and certainly, you know, a Hornet and a Eurofighter are going to have a pretty good day there, but this is a ton of helicopters. So that's Terry and Brandon there on the Red 4 team. Jeez, look at this. 1, 2, 3 DAPs, and it's a lot. Look at that. Oh, Harrier GR3. Oh man, I love this pick. I really do. So, Harrier GR3, maybe not the most common pick ever. It's pretty slow, 750 kilometers per hour, pretty bad ECM, 10% ECM, but you have SNEB rocket pods and you have two AIM-9Ls with 50% accuracy. 50%, that's really high. So you can see they are getting some good work done there. And this has definitely gone Blue 4's way. In fact, I'm tempted to say if Stoge can hold on the right, then it looks like Artemis and Hun might be able to get a lot of work done in Alpha and in Delta. I mean, most of the mobile elements of Red have been picked off. Gotta be careful with that Mi-24V. I mean, carries 8 Iglas, and even if they're all used, which I don't know if they are, that's still a Yak B minigun, so it's no slouch, that's for sure. Okay, here come the units on the ground. Looks like there's going to be also Paratroopers 90 up here. Is that SAS? Yeah, SAS, Paratroopers 90, Lynx H7, I like it. It's a very aggressive opener, but that can really go pretty well for you if you can pull it off. And on this side we just have Stoge defending in India, Han defending in Delta. I don't really know, the T-80Bs down the highway seems a little bit odd to me. Particularly if you don't have control of the air, so if Blue just wants to come in here with a longbow, I mean, you know there's a USA player with Hun, you know, seeing the DAPs, seeing the Rangers, stuff like that. So that seems a little bit risky. And here it is, everything arriving now from Artemis. Lynx H7, SAS, Paratroopers, both Raketas by. You don't see that every day. I really want to like this unit, but it's so weird, and not a good weird. Not weird like, hey, you know, I made this really delicious sandwich out of a little bit unusual lunch meat. It's weird as in, that lunch meat's probably spoiled, and this is not going to go well for you. So, yeah, it's a little bit odd. Yeah, Gurkhas 90. Okay, this is actually the same sort of win condition that you see on the 2v2 in Nuclear Winter, so if you play this as a 2v2 team game, Blue 4 wants to take Alpha, and if they can take it and hold it, that's going to be a really bad day for Red, but if they can't hold it, then that's a whole other story, and this is a Hun special right here. Double stack of Navy SEALs, and they will mulch through everything in the town fight. So actually, let's take a look in here at these guys. Hawk MM1 frag launchers, we have 13 VDV. Yeah, I mean, the VTRD is not the ideal target for this, but this is a pretty clean win over VDV-90, who are very expensive, high-performance shocks. Oh man, Vickers. Yeah. Honestly, at this point, if I was on the Red 4 team, I would kind of consider just saying, okay, you know what, it's only been 4 minutes, but I think this one might be over. Just because if Blue can take all of Delta, this is basically unrecoverable. I mean, the 2-point defense on the right is going... Okay, here I have some criticisms. These guys, you don't want the fragile weapons teams in the woods. They're going to get killed by shocks or things that can forest grind. Bring those back here. They have a role here if you're getting attacked into, but get units that can really fight. If this is Commonwealth, or is this just Anzac? Well, actually, it doesn't. Yeah, this is Commonwealth. Commandos 90 in the woods. That's what you want. At least I think that's what you want. So in the meantime, yeah, I mean, there's a nice firing concave from Brandon's. The Mi-24V supporting Droogs, drop 2s, lots of stuff here. Gurkhas not really having the best of days, but I don't know. This seems, it seems like it's pulling a huge amount of attention. So we have Terry's Mi-24V, we have Brandon's infantry and fire support, we have Averil's both Raketas. I don't really know what to quantify that. Well, I don't really know what to call that, but it's a unit. It exists, technically, I suppose. And this is very nice. Tracked rapiers sitting behind. I would have liked to see them in the woods. So if you come back over here, pull them up to right there, it's about the same distance away from this side. It is a little bit more weak to if red gets a push going through here. But, I mean, you have Paratroopers 90, Rover Wombat, Lynx H7. I think that's really not going to be too much of a concern. And with this bunker, it also would have been nice to see Finn Stoge go over to a different side, which he might be doing. No, that's Han to Han. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty forward defense. If red starts pushing here in earnest, you're going to know you're going to have time to react. So if Finn Stoge could come over here and help support an alpha with some of those really good units like the Commandos 90, like I mean, Gurkhas as well, that should be a unit available to Commonwealth. Whether or not they have it in their deck is a different matter, but just pulling more and more and more troops into alpha and making sure you can lock down that +2. And also, this is a little bit wide open for my tastes. I mean, I'm a sneaky son of a gun, so if it were me and I was on red, the second this pressure goes in, yeah, I mean, I'd be trying to push it out, sure. But I'd also just take 2 units, probably Recon Infantry, Recon Special Forces, come through here. You'll kill the Blackhawk. I mean, the Blackhawk and the Lynx will be early warning. That is nice. But they're not early warning that can really punish your opponent for having the temerity to make that move. A nice play with the Gurkhas, nice play with the Highlanders 90. I mean, this unit in particular is amazing here because the Edix can shoot in as it is right now. I mean, yeah, it missed right there, but it can really screen a lot of the fire support that's going to be in that section of woods, and it can make it a lot more oppressive for Red 4 when they're trying to get the pushback. Another thing here, I wouldn't necessarily have capped this as red. They're going up to +2, which is nice, don't get me wrong, but I wonder where the CV is. It's going to be in this section of woods. There's no other real choice. You could probably make the assumption that it's back here, is my guess. And if you make that assumption, you go in for the bombing run and you don't get it, well, then it's probably up here. So, not a lot of flexible spaces to put that command vehicle. And more to the point, yeah, it'll force out a counter cap, but let's think about that. It's about a minute and a half's worth of income, depending on what sort of command vehicle they took. And that minute and a half of income is not being spent on the front line, plus the time to get there is not being used. So that CV buy delays about 100 or so, 140 possibly points. Oh man, yeah, from getting the front line that can fight, and then you just have this. Oh man, uncommon unit, but so good here. Maybe not everywhere, but definitely perfect usage of that. Getting in, getting that fragile command infantry kill, and then just wheeling away, and that'll go pretty well. I mean, there's no natural predator for him there. Lynx 3, oh man. So Artemis and I were talking about the Lynx 3 the other day, and I'm really happy to see this replay because there are units that I think get a really bad rap because they're used in ways that they shouldn't be, and the Lynx 3 I think is one of those because you have 8 Hellfires, you have 4 Fire and Forget Stingers. It's a pretty heavy armament for 100 points. It's just that with the 6 strength of that unit, it is a little bit fragile, and people tend to just throw it at enemy air defense, which is not what's happening right here. There's a Prochka from Avril, but Artemis is playing patiently, playing well. Just getting that Lynx 3 back, getting it safe, keeping a Lynx H7 around it so that I can eat the first missile if there is one. And this is sort of what we were talking about earlier. Delta is completely locked down. There's no way that Red is getting back into there and into Alpha at the same time. And I guess, is Stoge... Yeah, I still would think that Stoge should either do air, which it looks like... I mean, the Sea Harrier FA2 is Stoge's, but the Nighthawk here is Han to Han's. Let's see, he's looking to the M84AN is my guess. Ooh, there it is, missiles away. And... 1-2, beautiful. 110 point kill right there, and the Nighthawk did get out, which is always a little bit of a risk. This thing does not have good ECM, so the second it drops those bombs, becomes really visible, it does tend to be a bit fragile. But then on this side, I think these SAS and the paratroopers might even be the MVPs here, because we've used all 4 Stingers, 3 AT4s, fair amount of infantry to infantry combat, and it's just so impossible to play. If you're looking at the Red 4 side right now, and you're thinking, okay, how do I go about retaking this zone? Doing that without controlling this side is very tough, because if you're going to do a push into the concave here, you really want to have troops here as well and push toward the right hand side of the zone, block off the reinforcement route, because blue has to come from either this section of road or this section of road. And if you get fire support on the section of road on the right here, then you can basically squeeze your way into the forest and clear it with good forest fighting infantry. So not having this section really does limit red's options, and that's a beautiful thing to have happen for blue right now. Oslav C coming in, that's going to be a cap on alpha. Already +2 for the blue 4 team, and that could go as high as a +5 if alpha is capped for blue, and if delta is capped for blue as well. And then if red recaps, just kill it again, right? There's really not that much stopping you. It's going to be a hard thing for red to maintain until they get the pushback. This is, I think, a bit heavy on infantry, I want to say, which is, I mean, I buy something like 34% of my buys are infantry, so trust me, I like infantry, but you need punch behind it. And I think that's not necessarily red's fault because of the lost command tanks and things like that that are very expensive. They usually do provide that sort of punch. But the Mechanizovana and the lack of that sort of fire support should just wait. Because otherwise these guys, they're getting mortared in the open, they're down to 8 strength, well 18 strength here. Yeah, sorry, a little tired. I think it's just, you need chaff when you have punch, you need punch when you have chaff. If you don't have one or the other, it's not going to go as well as it necessarily could. Another thing here too, so this is, yeah, let's see. These Proletary 90 have their tertiary on, not their secondary. The LVTP and the Oslavs are engaging. And the Proletary 90, yep, there it is. That was a manual right click. They get the kill right away. But if these guys were microed properly and had their secondary on instead of their tertiary, that would have been at least dead Oslav PCs already, possibly the LVTP as well. And yeah, you will suffer in the infantry fight against US Marines that outnumber you there. But you still get some pretty much guaranteed value for it. And I think it's definitely something you have to watch out for, especially when you're down on the fight. That's when that micro becomes really crucial, where, you know, if you need to make up a points deficit, particularly a large points deficit, you have two choices: surrender, start a new game, or do even the little things to the best of your ability, because those little differences really do add up. I mean, oh man. These Vickers, I think we should have looked over there a little earlier. I think they've been snacking on various vehicles. That one, unarmored vehicle, is that troop transport, or is that a supply truck? I'm not sure. Yeah, it was good. If there was recon infantry over here as well, this side would basically be really, really unfriendly to the red 4 team, and I think this is probably headed over to resupply the SAS, which is nice, get that air denial in, and this is sort of what I'm talking about. The Mechanizova and the Padobranki, they don't really have all that much that they can do here. Commandos 90 will be mulching them, even so. Forest and towns give damage mitigation. You don't need to be in the town so long as you're not in the open here. And with sufficient support, with sufficient other units, that will be a very, very bad thing for the red 4 players. This is interesting though, this is more than I expected, and let's take a look at the Spetsnaz group. T80B, VDV90, it seems like just a volume of fire thing, and you gotta keep in mind a lot of Han's infantry that we saw earlier holding down on top of Delta have shifted over, so US Marines, Riflemen, US Marines, M1 Abrams, all this sort of stuff, and what Han appears to be trying to do here is just really making sure that Delta is locked down, and, oh sorry, Alpha is locked down, and I like that, because, oh no, I don't like that. L18 got the kill, yeah, there it is, nice kill. Very nice track rapiers. I think this is the right priority, because Alpha's worth 2, Delta's worth 1. If you had to choose one to lose in terms of getting the tick, Delta is the right decision. The only caveat here is that if red really clears all of Delta, which I probably find to be relatively unlikely, they can attack into Charlie, they can go across the bridge and attack into India, they can come down here, attack into Gulf, attack into Hotel. Losing Delta from the blue 4 side really does suck. So, you know, make of that what you will, but I think it was a good decision, and I think it still is a good decision, as long as the Commandos, as long as the Navy SEALs can hold all of this together. And we do have a couple of units attempting to be sneaky, but not that great awareness from the Red 4 team. They need to be able to come in here and clear these guys out. It's just a couple SAS and paratroopers, a dedicated effort 5, 7, 10 minutes ago would have been able to clean this up. And then you roll that successful force over into Alpha from the side, and things get real good real quick. In the meantime, that was a command tank, MA4As as well, and I don't particularly love this tank. I think 8 rounds a minute is a little underwhelming for 95 points, but I mean, the stats are good on it. 19 AP power is pretty good, 15 frontal armor is pretty good, it's very fast. For a 95 point tank, 70 kilometers per hour off-road is quite nice. I just, it's not my cup of tea, shall we say. So, you know, Nevamit here as well. And this is something I think with the USA player, if they had an attackums, this is a dominant enough board position, it would have been nice to see it. And then you just do things like kill that Nevamit, and it just gets that much harder for red for, right? So why not take that advantage when you can get it? Nice thermomig there from red, but it's going to be a little bit too late here, I think, as we only do have a couple of minutes left in the game. I do definitely want to see some of the standout units, highlight units from Artemis here, which, I mean, it just seems like a very strong game so far for blue. Now, I know Honda Hun and Artemis play together quite often, probably are in the same Discord during this game. I don't know about Stoge, so if you guys are all part of the team, just let me know. It can be very tough going up against teams that can actually talk to each other, but I mean, I don't think that takes away anything here from just how oppressive of a game this was for blue. Yeah, I mean, Stoge is not really that much of a team player here, it looks like, but this is a good defense, and I mean, we still have, there's Brandon, there's Avril, there's Terry. I think Stoge is prospered by the fact that all three, this game has effectively been a 3v2. Red's gone 3 in against Delta and Alpha and hasn't been able to pull off the win, and that can really make or break games, because if you, well, suffice to say, local superiority counts for a ton in Wargame. You can get disproportionate kills. Oh man, speaking of Dead Harrier GR3, you can get disproportionate kills just by virtue of having a 20%, 10%, even 5% advantage depending on the engagement, depending on the units involved, and that is going to be the game. Nicely played to the blue 4 team, and good on red for sticking it out when they didn't necessarily have to. That was won on conquest points 501 to 103, and Artemis went very positive, 2448 to 795. So I'm interested to see a lot of where that came from. We have, of course, the Eurofighter Typhoon that will do very well. Harrier GR3 killing a K-52 is very nice. And I think it was just value stuff like that the rest of the game, like SAS, and let's see, Hera, Gazella, OM60Ps, Mechanizovana, more of this, Mi-25, S-24. The return on investment on that single SAS is huge. It's like 5-6 times, right? Because this is not cheap. The helicopters are not cheap. Well, maybe about 4 times. We'll see. Don't really quite feel like doing the math in my head right yet. But, I mean, I think it's just a lot of stuff like that. Paratroopers 90 doing very well. Highlanders 90, perfect choice for that section of the board. I would like to see a couple more, maybe. I mean, their Erics can do wonderful things, like killing that M84AN. And that's going to be all we've got for you guys today. So if you like this sort of thing, please don't hesitate to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And of course, this was a community cast courtesy of Artemis, who I believe also goes as Coddy or Coddy Volk on the Discord servers, mine, and a couple others, including the Bootcamp Discord server. So if you're looking for a good game, always a good game to be had with Coddy. So thank you all for hanging around. We'll see you again real soon.